Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're breaking down a really important advisory from Virtualization Options LLC. They're a Colorado-based tech research firm that specializes in making complex topics like this one accessible, especially for executives who aren't deep in the tech weeds. And the topic is crucial. How do you protect yourself, your team, and your data when you have to operate in a place where you're constantly being watched?
So let's just dive right in with the fundamental question. Because when you have a duty of care, whether it's to your people or even just to yourself, preparation, well, it isn't just a good idea, is it? It's everything.
Okay, so before you can build a defense, you have to understand the playing field. The report uses a very specific term for these places, surveillance-focused environments, or SFEs for short. But what are we actually talking about here?
Well, think of an SFE as a place where the normal rules of privacy just don't apply. It's an environment where being monitored is the default, where what you can say is tightly controlled, and where there's basically no way to hold officials accountable if they overstep. The game is just different.
And what's so useful about this is how it draws a straight line from the challenge to the very real-world impact. See, widespread monitoring isn't just some abstract idea. It directly leads to a personal loss of privacy. Restricted speech isn't just a policy. It creates an actual climate of fear. Knowing that cause and effect is the first step to protecting yourself.
All right, so how do you push back? The report gives us a clear strategy, and it starts with the first pillar, building your digital shield.
Encryption is your absolute foundation. It's the lock on your digital front door. It essentially scrambles your data, turning your private messages and files into gibberish that's totally useless to anyone who doesn't have the specific key to unlock it.
You know, here's the easiest way to picture it. Sending an unencrypted message, that's like sending a postcard. Anyone who gets their hands on it along the way can read it clear as day. But encrypted communication, that's like sending a sealed steel lockbox. Only the person with the one and only key can ever see what's inside.
Now, for browsing online, the report recommends a layered approach, kind of like a set of armor. Your basic first layer is just using private or incognito mode. That hides your activity on the device itself. A step up from that is a proxy server, which helps mask your location. But for the highest risk situations, you'd use something like the Tor network. It bounces your connection all over the world, making it nearly impossible to trace back to you.
And then there's just good old-fashioned digital hygiene for your accounts. Your email, your cloud drive, everything. This part is non-negotiable. It means a unique, strong password for every single service. It means turning on two-factor authentication, which is like having a second deadbolt on the door. And it means taking a look at your account activity regularly to make sure nothing weird is going on.
And let's not forget the supercomputer that's in your pocket. It's an amazing tool, but it can also be an amazing surveillance device if you're not careful. So beyond just a strong password, be ruthless about app permissions. Ask yourself, does this silly game on my phone really need access to my microphone and all my contacts? If the answer is no, and it probably is, you deny it.
Your digital shield is absolutely vital. But honestly, it's only half the story. So let's move on to that second pillar, securing your physical world.
This is all about controlling the space around you. And it doesn't matter if it's your house or a hotel room you're in for 2 nights. You have to start thinking like a security pro. Are the locks good? What's the neighborhood like? And you need to treat paper the same way you treat emails. If a document has personal info on it, don't just toss it. Shred it.
The second you step outside, the strategy totally shifts. It's not about building a fortress anymore. It's about becoming, well, kind of boring. You want to be invisible. That means knowing where the cameras are, turning off location tracking on your phone, and using cache so you don't leave a digital trail of breadcrumbs. The goal is to just blend in and not become a person of interest.
And this brings up a critical human element the report really hammers home: discretion. It's not just about what you do online or in public. It's about what you say, and more importantly, who you say it to. Every time you have a sensitive conversation, your circle of risk gets bigger. So you have to be absolutely sure about who you bring into that circle.
And that leads us perfectly into the final pillar, which might just be the most important one of all. It has nothing to do with technology or locks. It's all about you. It's about personal resilience. See, resilience isn't something you build by yourself in a vacuum. It's a network. You need different people for different things. You need your trusted friends and family for that emotional support.
You might need support groups with people who actually get what you're going through. And you definitely need professional help on standby, like a lawyer, for that practical, real-world guidance.
Now, in a worst-case scenario where you're actually detained or questioned, having a clear mental script is everything. It keeps you from panicking, and these 4 steps are your script. First, stay calm. Second, know what your rights are. Third, you clearly state that you're using your right to remain silent. And fourth, you request a lawyer. That's it. You say nothing else.
Ultimately, the report frames resilience not as something you're just born with, but as a skill you can actually practice and get better at. It's about developing ways to handle stress and learning how to adapt as the situation changes. It's the mental armor that keeps you going when things get tough.
Okay, so we've got our digital, physical, and personal security strategies in place. That brings us to the final piece of any serious executive risk plan, planning for the truly unexpected.
Look, this isn't about being paranoid. It's just about being a professional. It's about being prepared. Having a simple go kit ready with your key documents, some cash, and a backup way to communicate can take a situation from total panic to the calm execution of a plan you've already made.
And for any of you who travel into these kinds of environments, the real work begins long before you even get on the plane. You've got to do your homework on the local laws and threats. You want to clean your devices of any data that isn't absolutely essential for the trip, and you have to commit to only using secure, private ways to communicate for the entire time you're there.
So, to wrap up this whole framework from Virtualization Options LLC, it really comes down to these 3 things. You prioritize your safety by maintaining a low profile. You protect your privacy using tools like encryption, and you build your resilience by putting that support network in place before you actually need it.
You know, in the end, all these tools and strategies we've talked about, they're about more than just managing risk. They're a practical playbook for carving out a little bit of space for yourself, for your own privacy, your own agency, and your own freedom, even when you're in the most difficult of places. Which really leaves us without one last question to think about.